Ciao amici, come state oggi? Bentornati al mio canale Learn Italian for Travel. Sono Danielle. Tutto bene? Benissimo. Today's lesson we're going to talk about desire, verbs that indicate wanting something or desiring something, because it's very important. Not just when you're traveling, but just expressing things that you want, right? Giusto? So I wrote the verbs down here, and we'll go through each of them one by one, and they can all be used to indicate, like I said, desire or wanting, although there is some differentiation, especially with the last one. I'll explain it when I get to that. So numero uno is the verb volere. Volere means to want. It's not volare, like the song, volare, no, 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 that's not it. It's volere, and it's irregular. So we'll go through all of the conjugations of volere in just a minute. Numero due is an expression with avere, the irregular verb to have. So avere voglia means to have desire, and you can use that pretty interchangeably with the verb volere. Numero tre, you can also use the verb desiderare to desire, va bene? And then the last thing, numero quattro, I wrote indirect object pronoun plus va, and so that translates more to something that you feel like doing, okay? Not desire or want, but it's more like something feels good, you feel like doing something or don't feel like doing something. So let's go through each of these one by one. Uno, cominciamo da capo con il verbo volere e scrivo tutte le coniugazioni per voi e parliamo di questo verbo, va bene? Ecco il verbo volere, come ho detto, è irregolare, it's irregular. E allora ho scritto una I maiuscola davanti al verbo, so that capital I indicates to you that it's irregular. So if you don't have my book, The ABCs of Italian Travel, I recommend buying it to accompany all of these videos. That's the reason why I actually created the book, was so you would have a copy of something, a physical copy, with a bunch of different explanations and verb conjugations that you could use to accompany this videos. It's available on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, and then other retailers, just online though, okay? So, ripetete, io voglio, and that GL sound, remember, is more from the back of your throat, voglio, voglio, okay? Tu vuoi, lui, lei vuole, noi vogliamo, voi volete, loro vogliono. Okay, so it's irregular. That means you just have to memorize these formulas. When you use volere, if you follow it with another action, you're going to conjugate volere, and then the verb that follows is going to be in the infinitive form, not conjugated. This always happens when you have two verbs in a sentence, okay? The first verb is going to be conjugated, and then the second will stay in the infinitive form. So you can use volere followed by a verb in the infinitive form, but you can also follow it with a noun, asking if somebody wants something, not to do something else. Vi do due esempi, va bene? Numero uno, with a verb following it. I can say, voglio andare in Italia quest'estate. Voglio andare in Italia quest'estate. I want to go to Italy this summer, okay? And so andare stays in the infinitive form because it's following the conjugation of volere, giusto? Remember, you don't have to include the subject pronoun in front of the verb. If you do, though, it's going to come in front of the first verb. Io voglio andare in Italia quest'estate, and that's for emphasis on I. Purtroppo non posso. Unfortunately, I can't. Come voi, okay? Either can you, probably. So the second example is following volere with a noun. So maybe you come over to my house and I ask you if you want a coffee, okay? I would say, vuoi un caffè? Vuoi un caffè? So just the noun with an article in front of it, okay? And the article can either be the indefinite article, un caffè, or I could say il caffè, vuoi il caffè? That works too, va bene? So conjugate volere, follow it with a verb, follow it with a noun, whatever it is. What you're describing is desire and wanting something in the present tense. So now I want to talk just a little bit about the conditional form of volere, okay? Because if you are in Italy and you go out to a restaurant and you want to express that you would like to order something, or you're in a shop and you want to express that you would like something, you don't use this form, the present tense form. It's pretty rude to say I want. It sounds really demanding. So the form that you would put it in then is called the conditional. So the translation is would, I would like, you would like, he and she would like, etc. So let me show you that conjugation, the conditional conjugation of the verb volere. So ripetete, io vorrei, tu vorresti, lui, lei vorrebbe, noi vorremmo, voi vorreste, loro vorrebbero. Va bene? I would like, you would like, he, she would like, we would like, you all would like, they would like. So if you're in a restaurant and you want to say, I would like a glass of red wine, okay? Don't say voglio un bicchiere di vino rosso. No, è maleducato, it's rude. Say I would like. Vorrei un bicchiere di vino rosso. And per favore on the end is great too. I would like a glass of red wine, please. Va bene? So remember this for being out and about and requesting things, shopping or in a restaurant. You can also omit the verb volere, and you can just put the request that you have, especially if you're ordering in a restaurant, and then just put please on the end. So the waiter might come up and ask you, cosa vorrebbe? What would you like? And the vorrebbe is in the lei formal form. So what would you like? Formal you. And you could just say un bicchiere di vino rosso per favore. Okay? So you can omit the vorrei, but do not omit the per favore. Okay? And also just a quick aside, you can use the verb prendere to take, okay, to order in a restaurant. Prendo un bicchiere di vino rosso. Prendere is a regular ERE verb, and it means to take, but it's used when ordering food and drink. So you can use that just as well. Va bene? Okay, remember that. Ricordatevi per la prossima volta che andate in Italia. Parliamo adesso del prossimo verbo o l'espressione con avere. Avere voglia, va bene? Avere is one of the most important verbs in Italian. You need to commit this to memory because when you start to use the present perfect, the passato prossimo, you need to use this verb as the helping verb in the equation. It's half of the formula to create the present perfect, okay? So I wrote avere, to have, and we're going to be using this with the expression voglia di, desire of, okay? So the voglia is never going to change form. It's always going to stay voglia di. And then the di, it has to follow it. And then again, you can follow it with either a verb or a noun. But let's start off just reminding yourself of the conjugations of the verb avere, va bene? Ripetete, io ho, tu hai, lui, lei ha, noi abbiamo, voi avete, loro hanno, va bene? So again, just like with volere, you can, like I said, you can follow it with a verb or a noun, but you have to have that D in there. So let's use the same two expressions, the same two sentences that we did with the verb volere, so you can see how to use it, just plugging this expression in now. So if I want to say, I want to go to Italy this summer using this expression, I would say, ho voglia di andare in Italia quest'estate. Ho voglia di andare in Italia quest'estate. Okay? And then again, if you came over to my house and I wanted to ask you if you want a coffee, I would say, hai voglia di un caffè? Hai voglia di un caffè? Va bene? I could articulate the D with the definite article, il, and then that becomes the new articulated preposition del, and I could say, hai voglia del caffè? Va bene? So that works too. But remember, you do need to have the article there. And again, the translation is the same as volere. Do you desire? Do you want this thing? Parliamo adesso del terzo verbo, il verbo desiderare. Ho scritto una R maiuscola perché questo verbo è regolare, non è irregolare. So if you know the regular ARE verbs, then you already know this verb. You get rid of the ARE ending and then you just plug in the formula o, I, a, iamo, ate, hanno, and that's the verb conjugation. Allora, ripetete, io desidero, tu desideri, lui, lei desidera, noi desideriamo, voi desiderate, loro desiderano. Va bene? So notice the translation for desiderare is not to want, it's to desire. But wanting something, desiring something, it's the same ball game, right? It comes from the same place. So this doesn't have to mean like a romantic desire or anything. We can use it interchangeably with volere, although I would say volere is used more often than desiderare probably, and also avere voglia, okay? But let's continue to use those same two sentences that we did from the beginning and now just plug in this verb. So if I say I want to go to Italy, I desire to go to Italy this summer, I would say desidero andare in Italia quest'estate. Desidero andare in Italia quest'estate. And then if I ask you, do you want a coffee when you're at my house? Desideri un caffè. Desideri un caffè. Va bene? Facile, right? So with all three of these that we've seen, volere, the expression avere voglia, and then this verb desiderare, when you have a second verb, remember that that stays in the infinitive, and then you just conjugate the first verb for whoever you're talking about, whoever the subject is, okay? So parliamo dell'ultima cosa, l'ultima espressione, va bene? So with this expression, we're not going to conjugate a verb. The bulk of what we're going to be using is an indirect object pronoun, and then we're going to use the third person conjugation of the verb andare, just va, okay? So you don't need to do anything but just keep va in its place, but you are going to switch up the indirect object pronouns that precede va. So what you're saying with this phrase is, I feel like it. Literally, if you're using the I, you're saying it goes to me, okay? So it doesn't translate, it's idiomatic. So I feel like, you feel like, she feels like, we feel like, etc. Okay? First of all, I wrote the disjunctive pronoun with the preposition a me means me. It's the same thing, to me. You can say it a me or you can say me. So you can choose to say it either way. It's more commonly used with the indirect object pronoun, this expression. A te, to you, is ti. That's the indirect object pronoun. A lui, to him, li. A lei, lei, with no I, okay? A noi, to us, is ci. A voi is vi. And a loro, to them, is li, okay? So if I just say mi va bene questa cosa, that means I feel like it. So that's not saying I want it, I desire it, but I'm saying it, I'm feeling it, okay? So if I say I'm not feeling it and I don't feel like it, I would say non mi va bene, or just non mi va. Someone might ask you with volere or avere voglia or desiderare something, and you can answer with this expression. They might ask you, ciao Daniela, hai voglia di studiare con me stasera? And if I don't feel like it, I would say, no, non mi va. If I do include a verb though, I plug the preposition di after the expression and before the verb. So if I say I don't feel like studying, I would say non mi va di studiare. Va bene? Non mi va di studiare. So you'll hear this a lot in conversation. And so most of the time then it'll be used with the ti va and whatever it is you're asking, or the mi va and you're saying it for yourself. Or if you're with a group, you know, ci va, yeah, we feel like doing this. So with the sentences that we used before, the going to Italy this summer, you could use it, but it doesn't really make as much sense as saying voglio andare in Italia, I want to go. It's saying I feel like going to Italy this summer, and that it doesn't quite work as well. So if I said mi va di andare in Italia quest'estate, I mean, it's okay, but I feel like going to Italy has less of a fervent like wanting attached to it. So I would use it more with other expressions, like I use the example of studiare, or maybe I could say I feel like going swimming right now, okay? And in Italian you can say fare un bagno is the expression for taking a dip, not swimming laps, but just like jumping in the pool. And I would say mi va di fare un bagno adesso. Mi va di fare un bagno adesso, va bene? And then if I ask you, do you feel like having a coffee? I would say ti va di bere un caffè? Or ti va di prendere un caffè? Okay? So do you feel like it? And use that di in the middle there. Allora facciamo come facciamo sempre. Vi do un quiz. I'm going to give you a quiz. I'll ask you 5 different things, and you're going to use the verb, each of the verbs that we've learned. So you have to remember those conjugations. I'll tell you which verb to use in the quiz, but you have to recall the conjugations, and some of them are irregular. Siete pronti? Allora, numero 1. You're going to use the verb volere, and you're going to say, we want to watch a movie, okay? And as always, just pause the video because I'm not going to take a lot of time. Think about your answer, maybe write it down, and then say it out loud, okay? La risposta è vogliamo guardare un film. Vogliamo guardare un film. How did you do? Come avete fatto? Molto bene, bravi. Allora, numero 2, we're going to use the verb volere, but we're going to use it in the conditional form, okay? So, come si dice? How would you say, would you like a cappuccino? Okay, that's an Italian word. There's no translation in English. So, would you like, I guess in English we would say cappuccino. So, and the U is singular. Vorresti un cappuccino? Vorresti un cappuccino? Okay, numero 3, we're going to be using the expression avere voglia, okay? Allora, come si dice? They want to eat. They want to eat. With the expression avere voglia di, the answer is hanno voglia di mangiare. Hanno voglia di mangiare. Va bene? Numero 4. Okay, so now we're using the verb desiderare. Va bene? So how would you say with desiderare, you all want or desire a new dog? Desiderate un nuovo cane. Desiderate un nuovo cane. Okay, l'ultimo. Now we're going to use the expression with the indirect object pronoun and va. Allora, come si dice? Do you, singular you, feel like having lunch with me today? Do you want to have lunch with me today? But do you feel like it using this expression with va? Ti va di pranzare con me oggi? Ti va di pranzare con me oggi? Okay, basta così. Abbiamo finito. That's it. So hopefully this went well. If not, just watch it a few more times and keep practicing. And again, check out my website too, because I have lots of resources on my website. If you go to learnitalianfortravel.com, I have the book that you can access, that you can buy online through my site. I also have a reader, a PDF reader that's 60 pages. And this is good, really good for people who are planning to travel to Italy, because there's lots of vocabulary relating to the stuff that you're going to use and need while you're over there. There's dialogues and quizzes as part of this packet. It's only $9.99 and you can download it from the website. And then I also offer, if you've been studying Italian for a while and if you have all of this stuff down, an intermediate level course it's through the platform Teachable. So you can check that out. I have an introduction video and I talk a lot about it, but check all of that stuff out. And also the last thing is that I do offer Skype lessons. So if you feel like you really could benefit from some one-on-one instruction with me, then Skype is a great thing to do, because you really get a lot of obviously individualized instruction, and I think it's very beneficial for you if you're serious about continuing with your studies. So grazie mille a voi e buono studio e ci vediamo presto. Ciao!